A group of soldiers and a scientist travel to an unknown planet through a Stargate found in Egypt and manage to discover life in another galaxy. Is that why Stargate today? If you enjoy the video, support the channel by liking, subscribing, and enabling notifications. It's free and really helps me keep growing. Now let's get started. The story begins in a desert in North Africa in the year 8000 before Christ, when a tribe's settlement is visited by a spaceship that wakes up everyone in the area. Only one boy decides to stay and watch what happens with interest, but out of nowhere, he is surrounded by bright lights that make him lose his vision. Then we go to Egypt during the year 1928. An archaeologist and his daughter arrive at a site where an excavation team has made a remarkable find. A kind of circular tablet that has hundreds of hieroglyphs and strange engravings. The daughter, named Catherine, discovers a gold necklace with an Egyptian rune that strongly catches her attention, while a group of workers lift a giant circular structure they have just found. The archaeologist admits he's never encountered anything similar before. Time passes again until the present day, where we go to a conference by Daniel Jackson, who talks about important discoveries in the Egyptian pyramids over the years. But it appears he's been forgotten. In the background, Catherine, the archaeologist's daughter, now elderly, arrives. After witnessing his skills, she offers him a job translating ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. She manages to convince him by telling him that this could help him prove that his theories are true. At the same time, in a house on the outskirts of the city, we see some military officers visiting Colonel Jack O'Neill's house to inform him that they need his service, and that's why they're going to reactivate him as a military member. Later, Daniel arrives at a sort of laboratory where the same giant circular structure from the beginning is being kept. Catherine tells him that the 7 main messages from the structure haven't been deciphered, and that's why they're there. The scriptologist finds a board where Catherine's team has written down translations of hieroglyphs and immediately spots some mistakes. So he decides to correct these things and manages to establish new results. This unpublished translation is related to the sun god called Ra, and it leaves the rest of the team impressed. Daniel asks her why the army is interested in 5,000-year-old Egyptian tablets. And right then we see Jack O'Neill arrive, who decides to correct him, saying that their records speak of 10,000 years. The colonel introduces himself to Catherine, stating he will now be in charge. Daniel insists that the Egyptians did not exist 10,000 years ago. So another woman starts telling him that they found a new object that has changed history. Unfortunately, Jack interrupts her, emphasizing the confidentiality of the information and prohibiting them from discussing their subject with civilians without his authorization. Catherine questions him, asking why he came, as she thought she was supposed to have autonomy in this investigation. And he answers her that he must be in charge in case they succeed. 2 weeks later, Daniel goes for coffee in the middle of an intense workday when he sees a constellation in the newspaper and recognizes that one of the 7 symbols he has been researching has the same shape. He quickly organizes a presentation for government authorities, who can't believe there's an answer in less than 14 days, and reveal that they have one. 2 years trying to translate. Even so, the Egyptologist gives his explanation, showing that 6 of the symbols on the artifact correspond to coordinates at the site, while the 7th indicates a place of origin. The scientist interrupts, stating that it's impossible since the 7th symbol doesn't exist on the device being analyzed. Daniel asks about the device, and the authorities open a wall to explain the situation to him. That's how our protagonist sees, for the first time, the enormous circular stone, which is a matter of national security. Catherine explains to him that for them, it's a time portal, and in seconds the guy manages to translate the 7th symbol. This stone, which was found in the 1920s, is made of a mineral unknown to planet Earth, so it could be of extraterrestrial origin. The scientists activate the artifact's command, thanks to the 7th symbol found by Daniel, opening a kind of portal. They send a robot with a camera to cross the gate and discover the location inside a galaxy, somewhere in the universe. Thanks to the robot's readings, we discover that there is another Stargate on the other side, which could work in the same way. and the atmospheric structures indicate that it is located on a planet with atmospheric conditions similar to those of Earth. So, the military decides to abandon the project, since their main objective is surveillance, and the team in charge can't guarantee to do so, nor translate the new markings found. Daniel readily offers to work with them, stating he can translate it. Consequently, the military recruits him for reconnaissance and during his preparation. Catherine approaches him to wish him good luck, giving him the necklace she found at the excavation when she was just a little girl. Jack decides to lead this mission, guiding the soldiers and Daniel through the gate of the enormous structure, traveling through a completely unknown dimension until they arrive at a strange place. After recovering from the journey, they explore and reach an ancient stone temple. In the middle of a desert, they find a huge stone pyramid, and the soldier asks Daniel how long it will take to make the Stargate work. The problem is that the boy confesses he doesn't know how to do it. It turns out he thought the symbols would be similar to those on Earth. But in this case, they have to find them from scratch to activate the system and be able to go back home. Later, Jack activates a sound device with a timer and decides to hide it quickly when one of the soldiers comes to talk to him. Outside, our protagonist finds an exotic animal that catches his attention and quickly goes to touch it. The soldiers warn him that he should be careful, but he assures them that it's a domesticated creature because it has a leash. The problem is that the animal gets scared and starts running, dragging the rope that gets tangled around Daniel's foot and pushing him violently. Jack and the rest chase after him because they're having trouble catching up to him. After a while, everyone arrives at what appears to be a civilization full of humans. One of them notices Daniel's necklace and immediately shouts something to the others, so they all bow together. The colonel approaches a boy named Skara, and he runs to fetch the village elder named Cow. He welcomes them and offers them a drink in exchange for a chocolate. Jack asks Daniel to translate the civilization's language as a thank you for his kindness, but admits he doesn't understand it. Minutes later, they arrive at a village-built city where they are welcomed as honored guests. And during the stay, Daniel recognizes the symbol that belongs to the Egyptian sun god, called Ra, which moreover turns out to be the same symbol as the one on our protagonist's necklace. Suddenly an alarm sounds announcing the arrival of the sandstorm, so everyone runs to take cover. While he's there, Daniel comes to the conclusion that maybe the citizens of this place might be able to identify the other symbols. That's why he runs to draw them in the sand, but when Kyo sees the symbol, he panics and decides to erase it. In this way, the boy understands that its meaning must be forbidden in this culture. At this, the elder orders the women of the village to take Daniel away and move them to a separate room. There, Shori greets him and starts undressing, as she was sent as an offering to him. Realizing this, Daniel decides to reject her, and when Kopf discovers what happened, he desperately kneels down to beg for forgiveness for what he has tried to do. Then Daniel takes the girl again and goes back to the tent. Instead of making love to her, the boy draws a pyramid for her, and Shori responds with a symbol of planet Earth. Then Daniel asks her if she has seen this symbol somewhere and asks her to take him there. At the same time, the soldiers are resting from the sandstorm when suddenly the place starts to shake. It turns out that a gigantic spaceship is arriving at the place and lands on the huge pyramid. Without wasting any time, the soldiers take up defensive positions, but unexpectedly they are attacked by an invisible creature that turns out to be a kind of hybrid between a human and a robot. It is recognized by having a jackal head that imitates the god Akidzi Anubis. On the other hand, Daniel and Shori enter a cave full of hieroglyphs, where he uses the transcriptions so that the girl can teach him the language. He learns quickly, being one of the best linguists. Jack can't reconnect with the base camp, so he decides to look for Daniel and asks Skara for help. This boy uses Daniel's coat so the animal can track him. When they finally reunite, we see that the linguist tells him what he has found in the hieroglyphics. It's the story of a traveler named Ra, who came from distant stars, escaping death. Ra was fleeing from his world of ruins and was one of the few descendants of his species. That's how he arrived on Earth, where he was worshipped by humans. He concluded that a human body could prolong his life. Thanks to this, he decided to kidnap a boy to put his mind into his body. Then, he used the Stargate to bring thousands of humans to the current planet, where a unique mineral can be extracted that serves as an energy source. The problem is that at one point the people rebelled against RA, managing to weaken his forces. So to maintain control, RA decided to ban reading and writing, making the people unaware of their own history. A while later, the team keeps exploring the cave until they find a stone tablet where 6 of the 7 symbols needed to activate the Stargate are found. At dawn, everyone decides to return to the camp, and on the way they discover that they are being followed by a group of boys led by Skara. Afterwards, they arrive at the ship and find bullet casings from a fierce battle. While they carefully explore the place, they are attacked by Anubis, and quickly only 2 survivors remain, Jap and Daniel, who are on their way to the lower section, where they are now. The Stargate and the device needed to activate it. The problem is that it has mysteriously disappeared. Unexpectedly, we see some metallic rings coming down from the ceiling, and inside them appears an entity that quickly takes on the appearance of Oru. Along with Anubis, they force the 2 survivors to walk to Ra's throne and kneel before him, who appears majestically, surrounded by young slaves. A group of them bring Iyad's artifact closer, which Daniel quickly identifies as an explosive. Immediately, Ra gives the order to Anubis and Oru to rebel, revealing his true human appearance. The most surprising thing comes next, when Ra does the same and appears as the very boy from the hieroglyph. Jack uses the distraction to steal a weapon, leading to a brief confrontation. Daniel gets up with the intention of stopping the fight and gets shot. Then the colonel points the weapon at ERWA, and at that very moment the slave boys run to protect him. Seconds later, Jack is neutralized. Ra notices Daniel's collar and orders the colonel's body to be thrown into a dark, damp cell. Meanwhile, Scar observes the movements outside, discovering that 2 ships are flying toward the city. When K-Sub discovers what happened, he orders everyone to take cover, and right then he begins to be attacked for alleged blasphemy, killing many innocent people. A while later, Daniel wakes up in RA's refrigeration ship, which he uses to stay young. There, he finds his wound healed and meets God again, who reveals his true plan to him. It turns out that he plans to send the explosive device back to Earth, along with a shipment of minerals to multiply the level of destruction when it detonates, saying that he is the one who can destroy human civilization because he is the one who created it. As if that wasn't enough, he orders Daniel to kill Jack Aso's men, threatening to kill him if he doesn't obey. Finally, he rips the necklace from Daniel's neck. In the village, Shari tells Skara and the boys about his origin story. At dawn, everyone gathers to witness the moment when Daniel must kill his team. Skara reveals his intentions to counterattack, making the protagonist understand his message. He then turns around and shoots him, causing chaos and forcing everyone to relocate to another hidden spot. There, Jack reveals his mission's objective is to identify lethal threats behind the Stargate. He confesses that he has the authority to destroy it if he finds an imminent danger that could destroy Earth. This explains the use of an explosive device. Then Skara draws what appears to be the 7th symbol they need to access the Stargate. Ra orders his servants to send the device to Earth just as he is surrounded by the boys. They manage to overpower the guards, and Jack takes the opportunity to shoot, starting a gunfight that ends many lives. Things get complicated when Daniel, Jack, and Tyra are trapped inside, while the rest of the rebels are forced out. So the captain decides to activate the timer, planning to stay on the planet to destroy the Stargate. A guard suddenly appears behind them and kills the girl. Without hesitation, Jack kills him, but then Anubis appears through the teleportation rings to continue the fight. Daniel takes Shira to the regeneration chamber, saving her life. He now plans to take her to the teleportation machine, but he is caught by Ra, who uses his alien powers to try to melt his brain. In the battle, Jack manages to defeat Anubis by dropping the teleportation rings on him. Ra is distracted, allowing Daniel to grab the necklace and teleport away. Outside, the soldiers prepare to execute Skara. And the boys? When out of nowhere, Kasuf and all the villagers appear to attack the enemies. Ra takes off out of nowhere, while Jack discovers he can't stop the explosive's timer. So they decide to use the teleportation rings to send the device to Ra's ship. And when the god leaves the planet's atmosphere, they manage to make it explode. After a grand celebration of their victory, they prepare to depart for Earth. At the last moment, Daniel decides to stay on this planet with Shori and gives his necklace to the captain, who returns through the Stargate. This was Stargate. Remember to like, comment about other movies you'd like to see, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos.